This is the story of one man's dream, to recreate the experience of traveling on the rivers of Burma as it was in the colonial days, aboard an old flotilla steamer. The Irrawaddy Flotilla was the largest inland water transport fleet the world has ever known, and has been all but forgotten in this exotic corner of the world. The flotilla gets its name from the Great Irrawaddy River that flows some 1,200 miles from the Himalayas through central Burma to the Bay of Bengal. It is one of the great rivers of the world, like the Nile in Egypt. The Irrawaddy Flotilla once totaled over 1,200 paddle steamers and barges that were well suited to the wide, shallow rivers of Burma. The largest ships were over 300 feet long and could carry some 3,000 deck passengers. These magnificent steamers were amazingly built in Scotland, disassembled, and then shipped to Rangoon in Burma for reassembly. A major feat of Scottish ingenuity. In the glory days of British colonialism, these ships were an elegant and romantic means of travel through this land of golden pagodas. The words of Rudyard Kipling, Somerset Maugham, and George Orwell will long be remembered as a romantic record of those days. Sadly, during World War II, many of these great ships were scuttled to deny them from the advancing Japanese armies, and since that time have lain forgotten in their watery graves. Scotsman Paul Strachan, whose grandfather worked for the flotilla, has always had a dream to restore a small portion of that fleet to its original glory.
Our dream in reviving the Irrawaddy Flotilla and operating former paddle steamer again is to try and recreate something of the atmosphere and ethos of travel on the rivers of Burma as it was back in the 1920s and 30s. In 1994, I found the Pandaw on the riverbank at Mandalay in a complete state. The peak decks were still there, some of the old machinery. There was an anchor winch being made in Paisley. Sadly, the paddle had been taken off and replaced with Dorman engines, which were still running fine and which we still run. We fitted her out with Burmese materials. We imported very little. We used what was available there. They have very, very fine woods, hardwoods, teak and other woods. And they have great craftsmanship. There's a great tradition of craftsmanship, wood carvers, carpenters, etc. And we use them in the refit. When we launched Pandaw, there was a great sense of elation. I mean, it was a great moment for us and for all our people who work in our company and the contractors and just even the Burmese people. I remember our first cruise up the river and whole villages would come out to see the Pandaw. It was all looking like new again. It was all painted up with flags flying and these strange foreign tourists. And a lot of the Burmese people had never seen foreigners before. And there we were travelling up and it was a spectacle, this view ship. And I remember we pulled into a very small village and I was in the market and this lady spoke to me and she said, "How did you get here?" And I said, "Well, we came up by river." And she said, "Which ship?" Because everybody knows the ships. And I said, "Oh, I came in the Pandaw." She said, "Oh, have they repaired it at last?" Pandaw proved so popular that we very quickly needed a second ship. And this time we decided to build one from scratch. We did this in Rangoon. We used the old plans, the old Yarrow plans, the same design, the same concept, and produced really a replica of the Pandaw, a little bit bigger, but brand new, and then produced a ship of great beauty, and we offer cruises of 4-star quality.
There is now even a third Pandaw, again built to the same exacting standards. Cruising on a restored flotilla steamer is a pleasurable experience indeed. You will think that you step back to the days that Somerset Maugham wrote about. Gracious promenade decks, rattan furniture, lounging in a steamer chair and watching pagoda after pagoda come into view. English tea in the afternoons, then gin and tonics as you watch the sunset over the mighty Irrawaddy River. Meanwhile, the welcoming dining room awaits, with chefs ready to pamper you with fine Asian and European cuisine. Freshly caught fish are served with exotic fruits and vegetables. Enjoy a selection from our extensive wine cellar and the grand collection of after-dinner liqueurs. Even breakfast is a gracious and elegant way to start the day.